I want to start with a question, and I want you to answer it honestly, not out loud, but in your body. How long have you been healing? How many years have you been in this process of healing, of therapy, of courses, of retreats, of practices, of books, of healing circles and breath work and plant medicine ceremonies and somatic work and inner child work and shadow work and all of it? How long? And now, the second question. What has fundamentally changed? I'm not being cruel. I'm being precise. Because here is the thing nobody in the wellness industry will say out loud. If you have been actively, sincerely healing for more than 3 years and the same core pattern is still running, you're not a slow healer. You are in a loop and the industry profits from your loop. Hi, my name is Teja Priyadarshini. Welcome back to Spiritual Tea. Last episode, I told you my story. Today, I'm going to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. And if it makes you uncomfortable, that's exactly why I'm saying it. I want to tell you something about a woman who I worked with. Let's call her Priya. Priya had been in therapy for 7 years, not because she wasn't committed. She was extraordinary, thoughtful, diligent, the kind of client every therapist would call their ideal patient. She came every week. She did the journaling. She sat with the discomfort. She read every book. She could articulate the attachment theory behind her relationship patterns. She could name her inner child. She knew her shadow archetypes. She understood in exquisite detail exactly why she did what she did. And she was still doing it. Same relationship dynamic. Different person, same pattern. Same income ceiling, different job, same number. Same wall that went up the moment someone got close. Different partner, but the same wall. 7 years, hundreds of thousands of rupees, enormous sincerity, and the pattern unchanged. When she came to me, she said something that I've heard in some version from almost everyone who walks through my doors after years of prior healing. I understand myself better than I've ever understood myself, but my life looks exactly the same. This is what almost everyone says. I sat with that for a moment and then I said, that's because understanding your wound is not the same as healing it. And you have been working at the level of understanding, which is the conscious mind's level. What is running your life lives somewhere the conscious mind cannot reach. She stared at me. She said, but that's what therapy is for. That's what all of this is for. And I said, therapy is extraordinary and it has a structural limit, and you have hit it. Let me explain what that limit is, because this is the most important thing I will say in this episode. Your mind has two operating systems. One is the conscious mind, the analytical, thinking, articulating part, which represents approximately 5% of your total mental activity, just 5%. Two, the subconscious mind, the part that runs your automatic behaviors, your emotional responses, your nervous system reactions, your deep-seated beliefs about who you are and what you deserve. That represents 95%. Talk therapy, which is brilliant, which I respect deeply, which saves lives, was designed to work with that 5%. The part of you that can remember, articulate, process in language, and build insight. And it does that beautifully. But here is what no therapist is trained to tell you. Insight, understanding the pattern, lives in that 5%. The pattern itself, the actual program running your life, lives in the 95%. You can understand the pattern forever from the 5%. And the pattern will continue running from the 95% completely undisturbed, because the 95% doesn't speak in language. It doesn't respond to analysis. It doesn't care how well you understand it. It speaks in sensation, in image, in emotion, in body's automatic responses, in the moment your chest tightens before you can even name why, in the way your voice changes when a certain topic comes up, in the decision you make in a split second that you later cannot explain. That is the 95% running on automatic, underneath everything you consciously do. And here is the question I want you to sit with. How many of your healing modalities actually operate at that level? Not at the level of understanding, analyzing, reframing, or building awareness of the wound, at the level where the wound actually lives. Now, I want to be very clear about something because I will not take cheap shots. I'm not saying therapy is bad. I'm not saying retreats are a waste of money. I'm not saying meditation, journaling, breathwork, or any other modality is without value. Every single one of those things has real and legitimate function. What I'm saying is this: the healing industry as a whole has a structural incentive to keep you in process, not out of malice, out of economics. When you are healed, when a core pattern is actually resolved, you stop coming back. You stop buying the next course, the next retreat, the next certification. You're done. And done is not profitable. The industry that is designed to heal you is also structurally incentivized to never quite finish the job. I tell every client who comes to work with me, my goal is not to keep you coming back indefinitely. My goal is to take you to the quantum root of what is running, release it completely, and give you back your life. After that, you may not even need me. This is not a scalable business model, I agree, but it is the only honest one. Let me tell you about the healing loop because I want you to be able to recognize if you are in it. The healing loop looks like this. You begin a new modality. There is initial relief, real relief. Things feel lighter. There is hope. Then, a few weeks or months later, the core pattern resurfaces, maybe in a different form, maybe dressed in a new story, but recognizably the same thing. You conclude, I need to go deeper. I need another new layer. I need to release this. I need to release that. Perhaps a different approach. You begin a new modality. And the cycle repeats over years, over decades sometimes, with genuine engagement, with real moments of insight and relief, but with the same destination, back to the beginning. The person in the healing loop is not failing. They're working extremely hard with great sincerity within a system that has not yet given them the tool that reaches the actual root. So, what does reach it? I will tell you what reached Priya. After 7 years of therapy that gave her exquisite understanding and no fundamental change, we went into quantum hypnosis. For those who don't know what it is, I will do a full episode on this. The short version is it's a process that accesses the theta brainwave state, which is the frequency at which the subconscious is fully open and accessible, not asleep, not performance, a specific neurological state in which the gatekeeper of the conscious mind steps back and direct access to the programs stored beneath become possible. In that state, we don't analyze the pattern. We go to the origin event, the moment, usually in early childhood, where the pattern was first created, not to relive it, but to complete it. With Priya, in this first session, we found it. A 5-year-old girl watching her mother choose her father's emotional comfort over Priya's genuine need. Again and again, not from cruelty, but from conditioning. Her mother had done the same for her own parents. In that moment, repeated hundreds of times, 5-year-old Priya had made a quantum decision. My needs are less important than others' needs or other people's needs. So if I want to be loved, I must disappear. 7 years of therapy had identified this pattern, named it, tracked it, built insight around it. What therapy had never done, because it operates above the level where the decision lives, was to go to that 5-year-old and give her what she needed in those moments, not analysis of the moments, the actual experience that completed them. And we did exactly that. In a single session, something shifted in Priya that 7 years had not moved. Not everything, not magically, and not without continued work, but the root was reached. And once the root is reached, everything built on it begins to reorganize. 3 months after the session, Priya raised her prices for the first time in 6 years. She said no to a client relationship that was draining her for the first time in her entire memory. Ended a friendship that had been a one-way street for a decade. Not because I told her to, not because she made a list of boundaries, because the decision that said your needs don't matter had been updated at the source. And with it updated, the behaviors built on top of it changed automatically. Now, I want to talk about manifestation because this is another area of the industry that needs some honest scrutiny. The law of attraction is real. I'm not dismissing it. At the quantum level, consciousness and matter interact. Your frequency, your field, the signal you broadcast, these things are real and they matter. And here is what the law of attraction teachers aren't telling you. Your subconscious broadcasts louder than your conscious intentions, always, without exception. Your vision board says, I want abundance. Your subconscious program says, money is dangerous. I don't deserve it. People who have it lose it. Which frequency do you think reaches the quantum field? Not the vision board, but the program. Because the program is running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 95% capacity. The vision board is running for the 20 minutes you sit in front of it. You cannot manifest your way out of a subconscious belief that controls what you're trying to manifest. This is why people who manifest sincerely, faithfully, consistently continue to get the same results. Not because the law of attraction is false, because the signal they're broadcasting is determined by the program, not the intention. Clean the program first. Let the manifesting become what it always was meant to be, effortless, because there is nothing contradicting the signal. I want to give you 3 signs right now that tell you whether you are in the healing loop or not. Sign number 1. You understand your patterns better than your life has changed. If you can articulate your wounds with clinical precision, but the patterns are still running with the same regularity, you are operating at the level of insight which is necessary but not sufficient. Sign number 2. You feel better after every healing experience and return to the same baseline within weeks. This is the loop's signature, the peak experience, the retreat, the ceremony, the breakthrough session. Gives real relief. Then the nervous system settles back to its habituated state, because the habituated state is the subconscious program and it has not been addressed. Sign number 3. You have been working on yourself for years, and the people closest to you would not describe you as fundamentally different from who you were when you first started. This is the most honest litmus test I know, because the people who live with us are not impressed by our healing vocabulary. They experience our nervous system in real time. And if the nervous system hasn't shifted at the root, they will feel it, even if we've built beautiful language around the wound. So, what is the alternative? I'm going to spend this entire podcast answering that question, episode by episode, story by story. And here is the short answer, the one I want you to leave with today. Real healing has a completion point. It is not a lifestyle, it is a process with a destination. The destination is not enlightenment, not perfection, not the absence of difficulty. The destination is the pattern stops running on automatic. The ceiling disappears, not because you pushed through it, because the foundation that created it has been updated. The relationship dynamic stops repeating, not because you chose more carefully, because the nervous system's definition of familiar has been changed at the root. The financial block dissolves, not because you worked harder, because the subconscious program that was contradicting your efforts has been cleared. That completion exists. It is real. I have witnessed it hundreds of times, and you deserve to arrive at it. Not to be in the process of healing forever, to arrive, to be free, to live the life that was always on the other side of that pattern. That is what spirituality is about. Not another layer of understanding, the actual quantum level completion that gets you out of that loop and into your life. I'll see you next week.